Righto folks, here we are. As promised with our last video, it's time to take this hot rod off the trailer, time to jack him up on stands, dissect it, find out exactly what's going on with the damage and work out a plan to basically getting back in action. First rally event is going to be a test and tune day on the 21st of February in 21. It's interestingly enough back at Oberon where we crashed, so I'd actually like to go back there and conquer it. So let's get him off the trailer, let's get him done. Shut up, idiot. Sure I want Let's see if it still starts too. Steering's gone.
Hang on. Your other wheel's cocked as fuck as well. Righto.
Okay.
Fucking He-Man! Woo! The fucking man. Hang on, stop there. The Man Mountain. Really.
Righto.
Gonna have to jack the back.
I'm gonna have to jack it and swing it. Yeah. Alright, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Again, one more time. 1, 2, 3. One more, little one. 1, 2, 3. That's it.
There we go. Now we just got to get her back. Alright.
Alright, go. Yeah, that's in. She's in. Okay, on me. Righto, let's get him up. Let's check out what the damage is. Certainly copped a bit of damage on the front there with the bumper bar being pushed back into the fender, driver side and passenger side. And when we repaired the radiator, we repaired this panel work, and that's all been bashed in again as well. Outstanding. Alright, let's get this back end up. There we are.
Look at that hang down. She's a bit out of whack.
It's hanging down because the right hand coots is disconnected, so...
The watch link's out, the whole thing's fucked.
Yep. So we're going to take all the wheels off and actually have a closer inspection underneath, but before we do, we did notice that the two rear rims were heavily buckled. So I'm going to actually crank the engine over whilst it's in gear, and we're going to try and observe basically as the wheel turns around on the diff, just to make sure that we don't have a bent rear axle on either side. So let's do that now before we take the actual rims off.
Yeah, no, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Clearly it does look pretty straight. So as you would have just witnessed, we've got the left hand caliper floating in and out. That tells us we've got a bent axle on the left hand side. Our impact with the concrete culvert was on the driver's side. It's what flung us in the air, but interestingly enough, it does seem to be okay. We are going to replace both at the same time anyhow. You do tend to buy them as a pair, so be it. We'll look at getting a set of stock axles to suit. We have considered maybe getting some billet axles, but at the end of the day, I think it's probably not too bad to have an item that can bend and fail in terms of an impact when we do have these kinds of damages. Rather than bend the housing, I'd rather replace an axle, so that's fine. Look, let's rip these wheels off. Let's see what other damage we're dealing with. All good. No obvious signs of crack or distortion. The welds are all in place. I'm just going to call it as it is. That has impacted
axle,
here.
Yeah. It's a bent axle.
It's a bent axle. That's all it is. It's just a bent axle. So we've got a little bit of a bent tramp rod there, interestingly enough, but that's neither here nor there. Doesn't matter.
I think it's busted both tramp rods, hasn't it?
Yeah. Alright, let's get the other side off. As we look in here, everything seems alright, but we do have a pinched brake line here, so that's going to be on the list for replacement. And obviously the Murray Cooch shock, which is got a hole in the top of it. This is where we've taken the most damage, but anyway, let's get the front wheel off and keep going through. We'll create a list of what needs to be done. So driver's side has now come free. The tyre end has actually snapped on the sleeve here, so it's just free turning. That's just as expected. As we go in here, you can actually see some damage to the steering rack as well. Both lower control arms appear to be buckled. Chassis rail seems alright. The exhaust has been pulled back on the driver's side. You can see how far the lower control arm has been pushed back on account of the bent linkage here for the sway bar. All the top mounts appear to be okay. Chassis itself seems to be okay as well. Let's have ourselves a closer look under the car. We'll create a list and see what we're dealing with. Righto, after having a look under the car, here's our list of what we've got to do. As we go through the car, we can see we need to take care of the front bodywork, plus the front bumper, plus the indicators. We need to do both front lower control arms. Both sides are bent. We also need to take care of the sway bar mounting bolts. Right hand front fender. Steering rack. Tie rods. Some gearbox oil after the drive shaft got pulled out. Some air filters after we had it blocked from being behind the car in stage 1 when we made our mistake. Some rear axles, particularly the left hand side. The Watts link brackets and chassis repairs associated with that. The rear brake line, particularly the driver's side after being squashed. Fuel tank repair or replacements. The rear shocks plus mounts, we'll send that off to Murray Cooch, find out what we're dealing with there. Rear spring shackles, the rear spring mounts for the rear shackles on the chassis, the rear spring U-bolts, the driver's side spring centre bolt, the running boards and mounts for the chassis, right hand rear fender and quarter panel, right hand tramp prod and brackets, 3 bent rims, 2 destroyed rims, right hand mud flap mount. Driver's exhaust. Right, here we go folks, we've got a lot of work to do. Do join us for our future videos as we take care of this. We don't know if we're going to find any other stuff, but this is what we have worked out on our initial inspection of the car. There is a little bit of work to do, so be it. We hope you enjoyed our last video of our stupidity. We made quite a few mistakes, didn't we, Andrew?
Yeah, just to be clear to anyone, if anyone from AMSAG is watching, we're not having a go at you making the calls in the book. That was our mistake. We were just,
if nothing
we
else,
just fucked up, and we're in the heat of the moment. It was completely all our fault. The crash was my fault from a missed call. It was all, but yeah.
Look, you know, look, at the end of the day, this is rallying, it is motorsport.
We're amateurs, mate. We're fucking amateurs.
We acknowledge our own stupidity, and I'm so easy with that. And look, one thing I think both Andrew and I would also like 100%. To add, a massive thank you to AMSAG. Look, we've had our sooks during stage, as you do in the heat of the moment, but these guys at AMSAG, they're really cruisy, they're easy going, and whenever we've had a problem, those guys have always been there to help bail us out. So,
awesome.
You know, volunteers, recovery crews, if you're ever considering getting into rallying, I highly recommend AMSAG. They're a grassroots club. And look, honestly, I can't fault them for what they've done, the way they've welcomed us.
Bring your water, when, you know, like,
yeah, you know, look, we have our stack, and every single volunteer is wonderful to deal with. So, look, I've got to give massive props to these guys. We couldn't do it without them.
And let's be honest, we run into them a fair bit.
We do run into them a fair bit lately, so hopefully we don't see them as often as we do moving forward. But look, you know,
thank
shit
you
happens.
Guys. Thank you for everything.
That's it.
Really appreciate. We couldn't do it without you guys.
Absolutely. So. Wholeheartedly agree. As part of what we're doing, we're actually going to send the Murray Coots shocks off back to Murray himself. We're going to have the top mounts changed a little bit. We're going to have more of a rose joint fitted. We currently had rubber mounts there that were causing trouble based on the initial design that I had, but after reworking the car and raising these shocks up for clearance, we actually think that we can modify it a little bit more. And we can get a bit better handling out of it as a result. So look, as bad as it is that we've ripped the top mounts off, it's kind of a silver lining where we can actually make sure that it's a little bit better moving forward. Our next event is coming up in February. We don't have a hell of a lot of time. We will get it done. She will be right. So if you're enjoying the dumb shit and the occasional clever shit that we do, don't forget to check out the link in our description. We do have a PayPal link there if you'd like to help see our channel grow. We would certainly appreciate any donations to the cause. Anyway, don't forget to join us for our next video. We're not sure if it's going to be 1 part or 2 until we actually start doing it, but you can expect to see us repairing this car. We're going to get it sorted as soon as possible. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Cheers. Oh, get fucked. I did that for nothing. Place both axles at the same time. Are you fucking even facing me, cunt?
It is, it's fucking hitting you. Trust me. It's not then when you just said that, but
it looks like you're pointing down.
It's got your head. It's got your head that far. Oh, thank fuck for that. And don't forget to check out the links in the
Descriptions, not subscriptions. Fucking idiot.
Go, boys!
You got something to say, Parker?
I certainly do. I've got much to say, but it's not appropriate. It's pretty here in the channel.
Always need a bit of help.
Go! Go! That was right on. Put that up there. Like it. That's hilarious.
They're as old as half a dozen beers or more.
No, whatever. Wait. Mama's opinion on this one. A little fucked. Mate, look, at the end of the day, you can just raise that shock solid shut. This should be good. That's it.